Hello, welcome, what's good everyone? Tone here, and today I wanted to take a look at something new on my radar. This game is called Nadir. Subtitle on Steam is A Grim Dark Deck Builder. And I just heard about this game somewhere and I thought it looked cool. I think it might have been in one of the Demo Fest sometime like a year ago, or maybe when it first launched into early access, and it looked like it had some neat stuff. Some good potential, and it just released this past week, so I decided to pick it up and check it out. And it's interesting. I played it for a few hours so far. I'm still deciding where I fall on stuff, and what I'll say with this is the core mechanics and like game conceits are just like really good stuff. As usual for me, I think the things that remain to be seen, whether this is like a game that I'll play like a lot of, is how the meta progression aspects and the overall game balance feels over time. Because as with roguelikes, like I need to be able to feel like the urge to keep playing them, the want to keep playing them. I mean, obviously there's a lot of like good roguelike games where you just play for a bit, you try different like builds and get some variety and you finish. But some games just feel like land on this weird scale for me with the meta progression and stuff. I don't know where this one's gonna fall for me. So, and also I'll say it's in full release. It still lacks a lot of polish, and that'll be very apparent as we go on here. And the other thing I'll say about this is that it is I think largely has been overlooked. It doesn't have many Steam reviews. I haven't really seen many people like streaming it or playing it or talking about it. So this could be a hidden gem for some people if you end up liking it or digging it. But otherwise, I thought it'd be cool to showcase at the very least because it has some really good mechanics going on. And about the Steam reviews, it's funny, when I went to pick it up after the release, it had like mostly positive reviews. Was the rating when it was in early access, and the recent reviews are mixed, and I was skimming through them and pretty much all of them were like, the gameplay is cool, but like the graphics and stuff is just like bad, so I'm rating this poorly. And those actually made me like my eyes light up and be like, this might be the game for me, because we don't really care about that stuff. I want like a good gameplay like at its core. So those reviews, even though they were negative, actually like made me think like, man, maybe this game will be for me. But it's got some other stuff. Like, I can't get the full screen. It has a where is it? Full screen window. I can't get this to work. It does sometimes. Sometimes if I make it windowed and then full screen windowed, it works, but then it snaps back to exclusive full screen. I have no idea what's going on with that. That's like I don't know how like you have options in there like that and go into full release, and it could be my machine. I left them feedback. I'm not like angry about that or anything. Like, in case they don't know about it, I just let them know. But like there's just a lot of a lack of polish and like a bit of jank in here. But you know, sometimes that has its own charm with the game. So with that intro aside, I'll give my quick plug. If you guys want to support this channel and my other work, you can do so over at patreon.com/tonehack. So feel free to give that a look. I'd appreciate it. But otherwise, let's jump right into this so I can showcase some gameplay here and we can talk about the game some more. So here is the meta progression. I feel like we should talk about this later. I really want to get right into the game. I do have some unlocks here, so maybe we will do this. Let's see, Church of the Dragon. It's probably the very first. I guess I should explain the background here if we're going to be looking at this. You're like building. It's a base builder. Is kind of what you're doing with this. Is like tied to the. I shouldn't call it a base builder because it's really just a meta progression system. But you're building like a base, and then you're eventually trying to escape hell. Is what's going on here. So you're making. This is all like hell themed right here. So we can build the Church of the Dragon. It's probably the very first, I don't know how to say that, Wallachian church ever built in Nadir. By the way, my like biblical knowledge and stuff. It has like a lot of holes in it, so in this game I think is full of like references to that, so I'll probably get names and like references wrong when it comes into that and otherwise, which that might be. It says, but you're never too old to try new things, right? Unlocks Vlad Tepes as a playable character. Okay, so this unlocks a character for us. That meta progression's fine for me. That's horizontal. I'm into that stuff, as long as it doesn't take like 100 hours to unlock. We can get the Throne of Want here. An old throne of Lucifer himself. Everyone wonders how it got here. Unlocks the character development node on the map. So this is the stuff that I don't like in meta progression, is when you expand the map. I want that stuff available to me. This is like stuff that happens during your run, like new events you can have. And honestly, the first like few runs I had are very plain as far as the options. But I do wonder how much stuff we could unlock. And it makes us start with money, I guess. You can also see there's a bunch of meta progression currencies, which is usually a bad sign. Like, keep that stuff simple, so, and like out of the way. Typically, like, we don't need to, like, I had to unlock one of these meta progression currencies, the ability to get it. There's like a tiered, layered, gated meta progression system going on. That gave me 2 soul shards to start with, which is the in-run currency, which is a bit weird. What do I have here? Unlocks more damned. Okay, these are more enemy types, I guess. Let's definitely unlock that. Unlocks more card rewards. We'll do that, although I haven't played that character yet. This is what I want. More card rewards for, is it Jean? I don't know what it is. I'm just gonna say Jean, but that might be completely wrong. That's the main character. I think it's basically Joan of Arc, which we'll see on the next screen. So these are character selection. Choose your sin. We have pride, lust, and greed. I've only played this, and I'm gonna grab this because we just unlocked more cards, and I have the most like cards unlocked for that. I think they're kind of pretty like, I don't want to say stale, but like there weren't a lot of card options to begin with. Although I do see the validity if you can unlock them pretty quickly, run to run. That it does make you like learn the cards a little faster if you have fewer in the pool. So I don't want to harp on the meta progression stuff too much. People like it, people don't. I want to let people know what it's here and to what extent. I don't want to make like a stance on it because I really don't know how I feel about it in this game either. But let's read their story here. Ever had a bad day? Think of Jeanne d'Arc, for whom bureaucratic hell became a reality when an error in the afterlife's paperwork sent her down for immediate damnation. She might wear sacred armor and make great sacrifices to achieve the greater good, but in hell, all appeal requests are considered within a millennia or so, meaning that Jeanne is stuck for better or worse. So yeah, I think Joan of Arc basically, due to afterlife bureaucracy, got stuck in hell by accident, and gotta wait for that paperwork to go through, so she's stuck down here for now, I guess. You get a... This is like the type of boss you fight at the end. It looks like I don't have this unlocked yet, so I can only play these 2, which is unfortunate because I already want to check out the new one. I guess I'll grab this one. Abaddon here. I had a really bad experience with this fight. I beat it, but it was really boring, which just makes me want to lead to Beelzebub. Yeah, we'll go here. And I'll talk about that when we get there. But I think this only affects your main boss, because I was fighting a bunch of like the normal enemies from here, so I don't know how much this impacts your run, but it's definitely the main boss. And then sometimes you need to beat a main boss to unlock like other stuff in the meta progression city. But let's start our adventure because I really want to show off the game mechanics here. So we have a deck. We'll look at that later. Let's jump into our first combat. And the art style is pretty basic. Some of it works for me, some of it doesn't. But this is like what's really cool about the game. So basically we have 3 cards in hand, and each card is really 2 cards. It has 2 things on it. So there's a blue side and a red side, and you don't have like energy like you might have in like Slay the Spire or something. It costs a number of cards, so to say, to play them. So this costs 2 blues, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 red, 2 red. And what these do is the enemy has 3 attacks up top that they use. And playing our cards charges up the enemy's attacks. So this will charge up one of their blues. This will charge up two of their blues. I can't even play this because there's not 2 red shown. And when you get through one of these, it flips over. So I can get to this 2 red if I can flip over this blue. And then there's more stuff over here that they do. And I just think this is a really novel and very cool system. It has some really good like tactical and strategic like depth to it, just like the decisions and stuff. And I think this right here is like where the game excels. And I'm excited to, I guess, unlock more enemies and see more of the bosses, see more cards and stuff like that, and just see what they do with it. But it's just really cool because like you have to weigh like how like playing your cards, like yeah, it's a good thing, like we get to do damage and stuff, but it's also a bad thing. We're giving the opponent an advantage, and I just think that push and pull is really, really clever for this. But let's see what we've got here. We can just take a look at our main mechanics here. We can gain 1 shield. This will block 1 damage, like fully. We can do 6 damage. That's self-evident. We have armor and health down here. Strength is basically how strong our attacks are, and every card that does damage it's scaled by the strength here. So this is at the bottom, and very small print there that the damage is 150% of our 4 strength, and that's how it gets to 6. So I get +1 strength. I don't know how the rounding works actually. I think it usually rounds up. But let's say I get 2 more strength, and then this will do 150% of that. I'll have 6 strength. It'll be doing what, 9 damage. This is deal damage 2 times. It's 50% of our 4 strength. So I think it does round up. So I think if I go to 5 strength, this will be 3 damage 2 times. This will be doing 6, I believe. So I just think that aspect of this is really cool. And like when you build your cards, it's like you can like move these around and stuff. It's just really neat. When we play a card, we redraw it, so we always have 3 cards in hand. I think there are cards that generate cards that like kind of go off on the side, like and stay in your hand and don't count for that. And then we can also redraw, where we discard our hand and draw a whole new one, and that will give our opponent a benefit here. So if I use that, our opponent gets 10 armor. So usually you don't want to do that if you can help it. And that also, it's not written, but I believe it flips the cards over, which is pretty interesting. So if you're charging up like a big attack on them, I think you can redraw to flip these over. And all right, so let's play. I think we will just do some damage here. We have 20 armor to play with. And I think we'll go ahead and just keep doing damage here. So they haven't acted yet, but now if I play a blue, I am going to... I can't play blue without charging one of these. Here's Rage. Rage is like strength. It just permanently increases our strength here for the fight. So I guess we'll play Shielded, which will block this 8 damage once with the shield, and then we're going to take 8 and 4 from that. And now we can win just by playing 16 damage. This is one of the big complaints. There's no like fight end animation. Like when you play the card that ends the fight, it literally just ends. Soul shards are in-run currency. Filth here is one of the meta progression currencies. And every fight we get to pick a card. So this is a pretty cool system here for gaining a card. Is you get 3 blue options and 3 red options, and we get to make something out of them. So we have a card here. This gives us counter. Counter means when we take damage, we do 50% of it back to the enemy. And boost means that this goes up by 1 every time we play it. So in a small deck where we can play this card multiple times, we can get this up to like 3, 4, 5 counter. I haven't made much use of counter because a lot of the decks I've played have been built around like not even letting the opponent trigger their attacks. So that means you don't get a lot of value out of these, and this pushes their attacks up by quite a bit here. So we have, let's see, Cut Sinews here. This does 6 damage, and if the biter has the Stigma status, we also apply 1 weak. 1 weak decreases the character's strength by the status value, but it goes down every time they deal damage. Stigma is just a status effect that does nothing on its own, but other cards use Stigma. So often applying 1 Stigma is pretty strong because a lot of these cards will have an effect like this, where if they have Stigma, it does something else. And then there's some other cards that give you benefits at scale on the Stigma, or consume all of the Stigma to do damage, that sort of thing. But applying 3 Stigma does nothing on its own. So this card does a ton of damage, but it requires 3 blues to be showing, which can be hard to set up. And we have over here defensive stash, 5 counter, or defensive stance, 5 counter and 2 rage. That feels pretty good, especially when you look up here. This is 2 blues for 1 counter, or I can get 5 down here. I might just grab that. We also have deal 4 damage and add 1 flank to your hand. So this is a card that gets added, but is going to be additional to the 3 in our hand because it was created by a card. And these are pretty cool because they have this stealth mechanic, which stealth is supposed to not increase the charging of our opponents. It worked really inconsistently the first time I played it, and then a hotfix came out to fix it, so I'm actually not sure how it's supposed to work. So we'll experiment with that some more, because I feel like it's still behaving somewhat inconsistently, or I still haven't figured out exactly how it works. It is quite strong in some scenarios, though. And then this one lets us replace 2 cards from our hand. So I guess this gets us a bit of a redraw without actually having to use the redraw and take the penalty from that. I'm gonna try defensive stance here, and screw it. Let's take the big one. Let's have some fun here. As always, you can, well, I don't know why I'm saying as always the first time we've seen one of those, but I was going to say you can skip the card reward, and as always, that could be a very strong option in a deck builder. That's where I wanted to put my as always. So these are rings of hell that we're going down. You have to do 1 fight before you can do anything else, but we can go into the other ring reward, or we can advance before clearing the ring. And you can look down all the rings to see what's ahead of you. I guess this is almost like monster training in the way that it's set up, because you basically get a tier where you get multiple things to do, and then the boss is all the way at the bottom here. Let's go back to the top. So we have another node here, which is damned reward. Get 1 damned from a random selection. So these are basically relics. Oh, and that unlock I did at the top said add extra damned. They were talking about these. I was thinking it was enemies at the time. So these are all people. Sigmund Freud is on here. So this is basically a benefit that we get passively or at the start of a fight or something. So if your armor is lower than 1 after you redraw, gain 10 armor. At the start of battle, gain 1 precise. This says it means you get a critical hit, which I think is double damage. At the start of the battle, gain 1 counter. Honestly, none of these seem amazing to me, so I'm just going to grab one. I'll take the critical hit. And then we'll advance because there's nothing else to do in this tier. Looks like we have 2 fights here. Let's just get into one. We have the lump of flesh. This is a cool, I like this character here. I feel like this is one of the more cuter / adorable Hell's minions here. I could picture this being a plushie that they might sell. But let's see what we got here. They have a big damage attack. Now this applies rust. A character with rust loses 1 armor for each point of rust after playing a card. Then rust value is reduced by 1. This notably is applied to them. So this is a lot of damage to me, and then it reduces their armor. And you can always look at what's on the other side here. We have a new mechanic that popped up there called Protection, which is basically Dexterity inside the Spire. It means your armor does 1 more for every protection you have. So what do we have here? It's just our basic cards still. We should take some Shielded so that we can dodge this attack. Although if I play Shielded, then I'm going to eat this. There's actually literally no way for me to play shielded and have it absorb this 24 damage. Because this applies and then they do their attacks. Which is a little awkward. So I guess I'm not going to play shielded because it's just going to block 6 damage. Then raise this. So let's just do some damage here. I should get the armor up though. Armor's probably good here. So I'm just going to take this 6 damage to flip this over. They did their 6 damage attack to us. It took our armor. I have a 16 damage attack here, actually. That feels... Give me that. Because now you're only down to 6, which we can kill with this. Queen fight. Let's see. We can build a new card. So here's that stealth mechanic. So what this says is a stealth card will not trigger the enemy reaction written on the enemy card if the card would be activated. So before, this used to fill the card and flip it like it normally would, but then they wouldn't get their attack. Although it was really inconsistent, like sometimes it would not work like that. I think what it does now is if you play it, it just like doesn't fill that last one up. So you basically get like a free 6 damage here if you play this. 2 rage, suffer 8 damage and gain 2 rage. We'll take one of these stealth so we can mess around with this, and then I think I'll grab one of these 2 rage ones. I guess gaining 1 shield for this is pretty good. Let's do that. And you get 1 weak, which just means we get -1 strength for 1 attack. And then we can do another combat here, or we can advance. Sure, why not? These combats feel pretty easy in this this tier we're in. This guy's got a cute ghost too. Like this is a parasite. Let's see. They're adding decay. A character with decay status suffers damage equal to the status value every time it receives damage. Okay, so it just adds this much damage to their attacks, and then the decay effect, it decays by 1 every time it is activated. I think... If they have any, like... Breaking damage goes through our shields, and then piercing damage goes through our armor, is what those 2 new effects there are. Let's just build up our armor here, I guess. Let's see what new cards we get. So I just got 24 armor, and I'm taking 18 damage in turn. It's like a decent trade-off there. I think I have a card that does 3 blue in my deck. I do. That would be pretty nice to... We're guaranteed to draw in our next 3 cards. Can we like, get like a kill here? Let's see. Oh. I think I did that a little wrong. Depending on which card you select, it decides which 2 of these would get charged up. And the UI is not fantastic for that, because sometimes the tooltip covers it, and it's really hard for me to tell which one. But yeah, like if I selected this, I think it would have charged these 2. If I selected this, it would have charged these 2. If I selected this, it would charge the 2 that it did, is what happens there. So I wish the UI made it a little more apparent, and that's something that I suspect they'll do if they continue to develop this game, which they seem to be doing hotfixes and stuff for it, so they probably will. But that's like a pretty easy way to work that out instead of like having to click 2 cards. Saves us a click. So I got +1 strength now, so all of my slash attacks are doing 8 damage now. So I guess that does round up. This was doing 6 before, right? So 150% of 4, so yeah, 6, and then 5 would be 6, 7, and then 8, so yeah, I guess it's rounding up. Okay. So yeah, I think we're guaranteed to get that 3-cost card. And this already kills, so let's just play it. Those can be hard to play, and in particular, sometimes you can't play them without like flipping over like a card of the opposite color to get all 3 of the same color showing. And sometimes you don't want them to do it if it's like a nasty card to be able to flip that. Deal 12 damage, boost 3. I think that's new, because we just unlocked some cards. I like that scaling. 20 armor. If there's no stigma, then gain weak. 20 armor seems pretty solid as well. I think that's a new card as well. Apply 2 stigma. This is another effect, delay. Delay means it applies when we use a redraw. So I tried these my first run and I didn't really like it. This is something else that was like felt really unintuitive or just like janky and wrong. I don't know, because a lot of these weren't like even filling up the bubbles until I clicked redraw or something. It was really weird. We can grab this to play around with it. I'd be down to do that and explore that mechanic a bit more. And it's another stigma generator. I think I kind of want to grab it with this, but it's awkward to have my stigma generator paired with my stigma card. But the game will give us opportunities to separate those two. So I think we'll just go around and do that. And we're done with this tier, so let's continue on. So we have to start with the fight, but it looks like there are a lot of other goodies here for us to take a look at, so this should be an exciting ring. Buzz. Swarm of flies. Let's see. They start with rage, which I don't know what the point of that is. Like, I don't know why they just don't have strength to begin with. Actually, I do, because some things will consume rage to do damage at once. I don't see on them. And also, sometimes you have things that reduce status effects. So yeah, this is definitely different than them having 5 base. Disease. Create 1 disease cards and adds them to your hand. They will stay in your deck until the end of battle. Okay, so that's like a... I hate comparing everything to STS, because a lot of these are like pretty generic like mechanics. Like STS didn't necessarily invent them, but it is the most popular and well-known game, so I feel like translating the language to STS makes it easier to explain these things. Because I was going to say, this is basically a status effect from STS, but I do want to get out of the habit of doing that, because you know, these mechanics are like more generic than that, and they're becoming more common. But it is good to have a like central like language for talking about this stuff, a universal language. And I feel like just taking a lot of the names from STS is like the best way to do that at this point. And of course, there are a lot of just card games that aren't roguelike deck builders that have a lot of these same mechanics that come even before STS. So maybe there's stuff from like Magic and stuff that are even better terms used for that. But that tangent aside, let's see what we've got here. These guys seem like they do a lot of damage. They have a piercing attack here, which will break through our armor. That disease is probably annoying. If we redraw, they do 5 damage to us 3 times. I wonder if the idea here is that we're supposed to fill our hand with diseases and then have to redraw. And they do damage to us like that, which is a pretty cool system. A lot of these on this side are high like cost cards for them, which makes redrawing to flip these interesting. So maybe we try to play these out, and then I flip this, and then we try to kill them before they get any attacks off. Like playing this right now is like just feels like straight up bad. I'm just showing like an example of like some stuff I was looking at. Gain 1 shielded, because I play this, it charges this and flips this, and then I take 5 damage, and that, so I basically play this to block this 5 damage. Now, maybe there's value in that because I get to flip this right away, and now I can play some of my other red cards. But there's interesting stuff like that, where like this just feels like a bad card right now. We have our stealth card here. So playing stealth means that I should play this and basically get a freebie. We did get a critical hit from Alexander of Macedon up here. So that did 12 damage, which is nice too. But yeah, so that got played without charging this. So that's how stealth works. How do we want to do this? Interesting. I think I'm gonna flip redraw, take the 15 damage. I have armor. It doesn't hit my health yet. Flips these, and now we have a lot of nodes to play with here before we actually have to deal with any of these consequences, and I think we can kill them by then. Here's 16 damage right there. I can do 12 more already in my hand. Yeah, that gambit of ours worked out. Alright, let's see what new card mechanics we have here. We have another stealth. We have a mega delay card here. 3 counter and 3 shield at the cost of charging up 3 of their blues and using a redraw. That seems like a really high cost and a really hard card to play because it requires 3 blues for... like, the benefit's pretty solid, but I don't really like it with how awkward it is to play and like having to do the redraw as well to get the delay into play. This one just sacrifice armor, deal damage equal to our armor. This can be pretty good because, I mean, this is like a 20 damage attack at the start of the fight. Gain 3 bleeding. Bleeding is like how bleeding and poison works in a lot of these games. We take 3 damage and it ticks down. We take 2 damage, it ticks down. We take 1 damage. And this is straight to our hit points. It'll bypass our armor and shield. Kind of want to grab this outflank. Oh, that's interesting. I can right-click these. Oh wait, that's the same as left-clicking them. 5 armor. If used for the first time, deal 6 damage. This is a cool card to play once and then it becomes bad. So if you have like a large deck and like grab like a bunch of these, that's pretty cool. Although, something I've noticed is with these cards, if I've had multiple in my deck, it only applies to one of them using it for the first time. And I never know if I use them already, so that's some like weird like unintuitiveness, like UI stuff that could have been can be improved on in this game that I've come across. This deals 4 damage. If we have 30 armor or higher, it deals 8 damage. So this is pretty good if we're like gaining a lot of armor. I guess this is like an anti-synergy with Bash. Although having both of these on the same card is kind of interesting because they both want us to have high armor. It also gives us something to do instead of sacrificing our armor. That's pretty cool. I don't really like any of these blues that much, I feel like. Feels a bit early to grab this Bash card. I don't know, this is a good run, turn ender. Okay, let's grab Bash, and I'm gonna grab the flank one. Okay. So what all do we have here? We have another fight we can do. We have a damned reward. Let's grab another one of these. I want to grab Sigmund Freud here. Gives us 1 free counter at the start of battle. Character development. Okay, so this is something we just unlocked at the front. That's new. And then these always come together. We can shop and we can modify our deck. Let's see what the character development is, because I have not seen this before. Oh my gosh, should we just enter a new world of meta progression? Here you can develop your character by unlocking new skills. The skills will be immediately active after purchase. They can usually improve your statistics or sometimes provide you with unique cards or the damned. Is this between runs or only for the current run, I wonder? And what resource am I using? Is it my soul shards? I am very curious about this. Okay, these are all locked. Oh, so I start from the middle and then we go out. Increase your domination by 1. I don't even... Limits the maximum number of active damned. Okay, so I can get more damned, my relics. Will limits the maximum power of damned. Crit chance is something I haven't seen before. Okay, so there's a whole new system that we just unlocked before I started this recording. I have 2 HP increases, armor. So that's using our soul shards, the in-run currency. Oh, I wanted to grab both of the armor ones, but I guess once we pick one, we can only go to other things that we're touching. So what did we just open up down here? Increase our max HP by 15? Sounds pretty good. I wanted the other armor one so we could start with 30. Which was the conditional trigger on that one card, even though I didn't take that card. Okay, so I can't see what these are. Let me grab one of these because I just want to see what these are. I guess these are still locked because I don't have the money for them, which is a shame. I want to see what they are. Okay, well, we have more armor and health. I just spent all my soul shards, which means whatever is in this shop, we cannot have. But yeah, the shop basically just sells you some card halves. Which is actually really useful because you can get your starting card halves out of your deck. And then the deck change means we can edit our cards. And we can create new cards, but I think that's bad because usually we want to like reduce the number of cards to just like ones with like really strong sides. That just tends to be pretty good most of the time. Something that's awkward is in this screen, when I'm using my middle click, it's actually moving where we are behind here. So again, just another example of like the lack of polish and jank in this game. It really does feel like it has like should be in the early access still. And I mean, this is a huge tangent, which I'm not going to go on, but like just the way the like games industry kind of works for like, especially for indie developers, which I assume these are indie developers. I actually don't know much about the studio. Like you're incentivized to like, basically, if you're running out of funding, you're incentivized to just leave early access no matter what the state of your game is, and then you get funding to actually finish your game. Because people will buy your game more after that, and then you can like continue to work on it. So it's almost like, I feel like a lot of full releases for a lot of games end up being like early access part 2. And it's just like a really awkward thing. And early access like is kind of a meaningless title to a lot of games because everything is different, or every game treats it differently. Some games feel like basically finished and polished and like amazing when they release under early access, and all they're doing is like fine-tuning balance and then like adding more like content. And some games are like buggy and like nearly unplayable when they enter early access, but they're working on getting improved and getting lots of feedback as they work up. So like early access is the Wild West and doesn't mean much, but then yeah, you're also incentivized to release games in this state because you can't just like, very few people are just going to scrap a game. And I don't know what the history of this game is. I'm just thinking of like other examples and like a reason a lot of games do end up being released in this state. Very few people will release or just like scrap a game and quit their project because they like ran out of funding in like early access or whatever. And I don't think they should, because the game should be out there like available to people, but to release it as like a full release, it rubs a lot of people the wrong way, like rightfully. It can be misleading. So how far on the scales this game lands is yet to be seen. I don't know, but there's a lot of like stuff that I would like to see more polished in this game for sure. And again, it seems like it's still being developed. I saw a hotfix a few days after it came out. This is like brand new to full release. So definitely interested to see where this, like how much development this game still gets. I'd like to see a lot of the little polish UI UX things kind of get improved just for like the player experience, but we'll see where that is, because I think it does fall behind in a lot of ways for where I would expect a full release game to be. But again, I really like the core mechanics of this game, but that aside, what were we looking at? We wanted to separate these cards because this card wants us to have Stigma applied, and this card applies Stigma. So it doesn't make sense for them to be like that. So we do start off with a few random, well, I don't know if they're literally random, but a few extra card pieces to put together. We can also use these to replace like our starting cards sides, which tend to not be that powerful. So let's remove both of these and we'll make a new card here. So we have a few things that like just apply stigma. So actually, let me go back. But we didn't save anything. Let's look at our starting cards here, actually, which are 6 damage or deal 2 damage 2 times. We have 3 of those, and then the shielded and armor halves. We have 2 of those. I can just go and edit one of these, and immediately removing this 6 damage side and putting in a 6 breaking damage and apply 1 stigma is like a flat upgrade there. Here we have 2 damage 2 times. I can just remove that and do 2 piercing damage 2 times and apply 1 stigma. And boom, we just have like a better card here, like all around. I'm just gonna save that. There's an argument to put those stigma sides on like different cards and like all that stuff. So we have like, if I swap to these sides, I think there's good utility there. I think we're gonna get a card remove soon. I think I'm just gonna remove this card, so I'm not gonna bother doing that yet. What about these? Can I do anything here? This is gain 1 shielded. I'll take that off and do the 2 shielded, gain 2 bleeding. So we basically take 3 damage over 2 turns to gain 2 shielded here. Has the same cost. I like that. Gain 12 armor. That feels okay. Especially because we have a card that wants us to have armor. So I'll leave that one as it is. We'll modify that. I think I'm almost never going to create a new card whole cloth unless I have a pretty slim deck already and I find some good halves in like a shop. But yeah, let's take a look at that other card we were wanting to tear apart. So I want to separate these two, so let me remove this, and I'm going to put on 10 damage, 2 bleeding, with good strength scaling. It's 250% of our strength. Sure, let's just create that. And then let's throw that other stigma card back on something else. I think I'll just throw it on this for now. I'll throw it on here. Let's do something like that. And then there's like a lot of strategy with like how much you want your card cost to be on both sides of these. Do you want like your 3 side to have like an easy to play red on the other side? But sometimes that's not really the case because you want your easy to play reds, like the ones that cost 1, are typically how you flip over that last red to get to the 3 blues. So having it on this card actually doesn't make sense. So I feel like there's a lot of depth just into like that kind of like quote unquote like resource management with like how much resources these cards cost you to play. That I don't even have like close to a full grasp on. There's probably some really good strategies and rules of thumb with how you do that. But I really just like the core like conceit of this game with how you have these like dual-sided cards and you're like charging up your enemy's attacks as you go. So that's the deck change to shop. This thing. Alright, we did all of that. I'm going to advance past this last fight here. I just want to see more here. We'll try and wrap up this video without drawing out the fights here. So we have to start with the combat. I'm going to start jumping to this elite combat and see what we've got here. The Feaster from afar. Like, that was off screen. I actually like a lot of these character enemy sprites. This guy looks cool to me. So we have some big charge up attacks here. This says Desecrate. When the Desecrate status is active and the card is played on a blue enemy card, I've seen this before, and I don't. I feel like this is poorly written, or translated to English if that's the case. The enemy card does not trigger enemy's action, but it still turns over. Afterward, the status value is reduced by 1. And this gets applied to them. I think it means we get a free pass on a blue card? I have no idea. I'm not going to try and read into that too much. This is 21 damage 2 times. That's like the biggest hit we've seen so far. So in this, our first elite fight here, we can see there's like a lot of stuff going on. They start with 2 shielded here. Look at this, when we redraw, they get shielded 1 and then sacrifice, where they get rid of all their shields but do damage to us equal to their shields times 6. So I redrawed right now, they ditch their shields but do 12 damage to us. This is a shield 1 boost, so this goes up every time it gets played. This is a really cool fight design, and this, like I said, this is where I think this this game really excels. So it's cool to see stuff like this. Is our deck cut out for this? I feel like our deck is pretty basic, and this guy is a tier above. Like, I don't even think playing like our 12 armor cards is worth it, because this guy can just do 7 damage twice while scaling it with boost for 21 damage. Like, these cards just seem awful here. I have a sacrifice armor card. So I can charge up my armor to do damage as well. But they're just gonna, I think they're gonna chip away our armor into our health real fast. So I feel like all my cards here kind of suck. Oh, I didn't get that card removed, so this, yeah, this would have been so much better if I had it on that other side on the bottom here. I should have done that. I thought we were going to get a chance to remove a card before this side. Oh, we're just removing their shields. So I should have done that 2 damage 2 times, because that would have removed this fully. A desperate blow. Yeah, I'm desperate. Let's go. 10 damage, I'll take the bleeding. Oh shoot, but he has a shield. I was just talking about that. Now I get a breaking card which breaks their shields. I feel like my deck is trash for this guy. I am concerned. Let's get some stigma applied. This again? Already? I think I'm gonna charge these up and then reshuffle. I'll play this for sure, actually. 16 damage. We gotta get our big damage cards in. The blue side of that had our scaling though, which we cannot play now. Ooh, let's see. I can gain 2 shielded, which would be good for eating this attack. Kind of like that. We'll flip this over, they gain a shield. Five counter and 2 rage. Let's give that a try. I want to get my rage up. The counters will be pretty good against this big attack, I think. So I have 2 shields right now, so I can pop this and I'll absorb all of this damage. Wait, they gained the rage? What just happened? Apply 2 rage. What? This card sucks. I did not know that. That card is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. Okay. Oh, man. I think I need to get this card out of my hand. I guess I don't mind getting this shield when I can play it again. Alright, let's play this. Alright, we're gonna block both of these with our shield. But we get to counter them back, which is nice. So we got these stealth cards. They're ethereal, so it says removed from the game after it's played. This is what that card generated. So I can build up armor or this is actually a really good card. Like I would take these all day if I could just get this one. can't believe I was trying to scale my own rage and I gave them rage instead. Alright, well I want more shield. Although this guy doesn't have any big attacks coming up anymore, so shield's actually not that good. I think the armor is better. So maybe I take the armor. Here's rage. I'm gonna play this. It's stealth, so I get to play it for free, I believe. This rage almost doesn't feel worth it. Actually, we have a breaking damage next to it, so I can break through the shield right away. Okay, let's build the rage. I didn't even see what this does. What is panic and intimidation? That's awkward. I can't look at what that actually does because it's on the other side. That's something that could be better. Doesn't even say? I don't have like a status effect, so I don't know. I guess I won't worry about it for now. Alright, well we have 1 rage now, plus 1 strength. If I can keep building up my shields, I have more of these counters, so I can make them do damage to themselves. Maybe that's how I play this, is I charge them up, I give them all the rage, and then I counter them, and I play lots of shields. Is that how we're going to do this? This is also a 30 damage side if I get all the blues up. They have 2 shield right now. Oh, I wanted to play this, but I flipped all the cards. I guess that doesn't work. This is a great one to burn their shields, though. Now they have no shield. That's a good use for that card for sure. Oh, what do we want to charge up here? Or what do we want to do here? Do I want to play this? It's a third of the remaining health. It would be a good finisher for sure. Where I can just get more of the counter. I have 3 counter left already. Oh, I played it on the wrong one again. So dumb. I wanted to charge up these 2. I'm playing into the counter though. Let's go. Let's go. This does more damage than the top half now. Wait, no it doesn't. This is 6. I thought it was 3 times. $12 armor, but they do 13 damage to me now. I'm building up my armor pretty good too, actually. Ah, so I got my sacrifice armor. Too bad I want to play this on stealth, otherwise I could turn this into 10 damage. It's already 10 damage down here though. I almost want to charge this up. I can play this stealth card. 13 damage, but gain bleeding. But then I take 33 damage 2 times. Yikes. I think we'll avoid doing that. 20 armor. Okay, I see a path to victory here. Deal 30, that'd be a good closer, but nope, we're not going to do that. Because now I can sacrifice my armor to do 46 damage. And get wrecked. Alright, that was a lot tougher than I felt like it should have been. Let's see, Implode Stigma. Deals damage equal to their Stigma status times 4. And then it applies Stigma. I wonder what the ordering for that is, because it says if they don't have any Stigma, then it applies 3. So does it implode, reduce their stigma to 0, and then add 3 more? That seems pretty good. These skulls in the bottom right are rarities, I think. So I think these bronze ones are common. So I think we got uncommon cards in these two. Deal 8 damage if we have 50% health or lower, gain 1 shielded. Or deal 8 damage if we have 50% HP or lower, gain 1 rage. We haven't been below 50% yet, but those are actually pretty incredible if we are. Our character would be pretty good at staying below 50%, but sustaining through shield and like armor. So I could see that being a strategy, although you heal every ring when you go down, so it'd be hard to maintain 50% health. But I could see that being pretty strong. These are pretty cards when they're proccing that second effect. Kind of want to take both of those, but I'm also curious about maybe like going heavy on the stigma here. Do a bit of both. Let's see, how many rings are we away? 1, 2, 3. All right, let's make this a two-parter. I think that showcased the game pretty well, but if people are interested in seeing what the whole run looks like, we'll have a part 2 going up. And we'll play through this, because this is getting as long as I want to do this video for. But yeah, really cool, like, core game mechanics, just rather unpolished, and concerning, like, meta progression. I shouldn't say concerning meta progression, it's just, it exists, and how people like that stuff is like all over the place, so people just need to be like aware that it is a thing in this game. And also I'm just kind of curious what the balance is like. I feel like in general I want the game to be more difficult, because this game's kind of been a cakewalk up until like that elite fight so far. A few other mechanics is you get the opportunity to leave the run early and keep full meta progression currency, and when you die you're supposed to lose half of these, I believe, although I heard that the game is bugged right now and when you die you keep all of your meta progression currency. I don't like systems like that. It basically encourages you to like quit before the like most exciting parts of the run, and like a lot of like the funnest moments in these games is when you are put up against like the most unlikely scenarios for you to persevere through, and you do manage to get through them. And this game basically like asks you to bypass that so you can get more progress between runs, which I just think is like a terrible deal on all sides for the player. A game like Loop Hero was a lot like that, where it just kind of wanted you to grind out meta progression currency and then leave before the end of the run if you didn't think you could survive. So that's something I don't like seeing in games personally, and that's something that this one kind of encourages with that. So that's one mechanic that people should be aware of. And did I have another one that I wanted to explain? I feel like I did, but I guess we'll come across it next time. I don't have it here, so it's not coming to mind. So I'll leave this here. Again, great game mechanics. Just oh yeah, the balance. I actually just came up with it. When you beat the boss here, you can instantly go into another run and just play through it again, and it's supposed to be harder, and then you get more like meta progression rewards when you play through it. So that's like a weird way of balancing. Like I don't really want like endless modes. I'd rather have like just harder base fights. So I don't know if we unlock like higher difficulties as we progress or how that works. So I'm curious to see how that goes, because I think I want the base game to be harder than it is right now. Because I'm like a noob at this right now, so, and like we seem to be doing pretty well overall, so I imagine it'll get like very easy for a more experienced player, and that's all relative. I don't like saying that it's like easy, but just for me, like I want, and not even just for me, like for anyone, like we should have like more balance options to tailor the difficulty to where it should be for us, so that we can have a fun, challenging like experience, like no matter what our skill levels are. So those are a few things that remain to be seen, but I just thought this was worth checking out for me personally, because I like to see novel game mechanics, and this game certainly has one of them. And I really would like to see what else it does with them as I play this game a bit more, and how this game develops, assuming it's going to continue developing. If they can just like clean up some of the polish, and like it's really like mostly like little things so far that have bugged me, but like those little things are like what get you negative Steam reviews and what make your game like look worse than it really is. And so I definitely wanted to check out these mechanics and show them off here to you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this look into Nadir, a grimdark deck builder. I'm gonna leave this one here for now. Before I go, check out the links in the description below if you want to find my Patreon to show some support, if you want to find my Discord community, and my other links. You'll find them down there. So take it easy, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I am out. See you, everyone.